Hi, this is Steve Allen with Connect Home Loans. Say, when you take a client out to a piece of property, do you ever find yourself wondering about the quality of the property, how it looks, what condition it's in, and how that might impact the type of loan that your client can get? Well, in the past, if you were dealing with an FHA loan, that was a really big issue because FHA really made it tough when it came to the quality of the home. They wanted it to be absolutely perfect. And I've even heard some stories from agents. One of them told me one time about one house where he had to go in and replace the light bulb in the stove because the appraiser called that out. That was the extent that some of these things went. So the question is, what kind of impact is that like today? Is FHA the same or is it different? Well, I'm happy to report that it's very, very different. Now, of course, if you have a house that looks something like this, it's pretty nice. You can pretty much rest assured that there's not going to be any problem with it when it comes to the appraisal or any type of loan that's available on the market. But what if the house looks like this? That's something that I guess you might call a clampet house. And does that raise a red flag? Well, perhaps. But in a lot of cases, not in the way that you might think or to the degree that you might think. So let's kind of talk about for a moment what the red flags are, or what the issues are that you need to be aware of when you look at a piece of property. So first and foremost, broken windows. Those are going to be an issue. If it's cracked, that's not such a big deal. But if it's a broken window, that's going to need to be replaced. The other big one is exposed wiring. So if you had a prior owner who took the light fixtures out or took the ceiling fan out and left dangling wires, then that's going to have to be dealt with in some way or another. It can be as simple as replacing a light fixture in the ceiling that's missing with a single bulb fixture from Home Depot for a couple of dollars. It doesn't need to be complicated or look particularly good. The wiring just needs to be dealt with. If it's dangling out of a socket, it can be put back in and a normal switch plate put over it. But of course you do want to have an electrician taking care of that to make sure there's no health and safety issues. Other health and safety related things that go on is the water heater. Water heater has to be strapped. You have to have smoke detectors. But you also have to have a functioning stove. Both FHA and conventional loans are going to want to see a functioning stove. The house has to be habitable. So that means you also have to have a functioning heat source. And it can't be a wood-burning fireplace or a pellet stove or something like that. It has to be a permanent built-in heat source. It can be a gas heater, it can be an electric heater mounted in the wall. Anything like that would satisfy that requirement. Obvious roof problems. If you have a situation where there's a hole in the wall or a hole in the ceiling rather, that's going to be a big issue because it's likely the appraiser is going to call that out, and that maybe have to be something that's fixed. And all utilities need to be on and functioning when the appraiser goes out to the property because you have to have a hot water heater that works, you have to have hot water available, gas, electricity, all the power has to be there. And lastly, peeling paint. If the house is pre-1978, you're going to have it, any peeling paint dealt with because that raises the whole lead paint issue. So that's something to watch out for there. Now typically, cosmetic things like a neglected yard, dirty, beat-up interiors, carpeting that's damaged, linoleum that's cracked, all of those kinds of things that are the emotional things that you see when you go into a house, those typically don't raise any issues and really affect the value much. So those are some things to keep in mind there. Now, FHA and VA all play along with the same rules for the most part these days. Like I said, FHA used to be very hard, conventional not so much. Well, they're pretty much all in the same arena. Now, the one loan program, though, that is different, and that's VA. VA has their own appraisers. We go through the VA to have an appraiser go out to a property, and they can be a little bit tougher on a property than the normal appraiser, mostly because the spirit of VA is there to help protect the vet and ensure the quality of the house that they're buying. So you can expect that the bar is going to be raised just a little bit when you're dealing with a VA loan. So those are some things to keep in mind. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in contact with me. My name is Steve Allen with Connect Home Loans, your home loan connection. Thanks again. Bye-bye.